Hey guys, alright? Welcome everyone. 4 years after the battle in Atlantis, Arthur married and had a son with Princess Mara. He often recounts his action-packed adventures and how he defeated his enemies to his young son, Arthur Jr. His other responsibility is to be the king of Atlantis, after defeating his brother and imprisoning him. While it can be somewhat tedious, he attends court hearings. He enjoys fun moments with his family and likes to make his son smile, along with his father, Tom. In a conversation with his father, Arthur says that the little boy doesn't need a little brother, even though his father thinks it's a good idea. Suddenly, they look at the little boy and see him communicating with the fish, just like his father Arthur's power, and this makes them happy. In the Antarctic glaciers, we see David leading a group of mercenaries in search of something very valuable. We meet Dr. Stephen, who is looking for any clues that might lead the lunatic David to Atlantis, so he can get revenge on Aquaman. The doctor reaches his assistant, who alerted him that the sensors detected something in that location. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble, and a fissure opens, swallowing them. They are taken to a cave where an ice wall guards something inside. When their car falls into the area, a new fissure opens, this time cracking the wall, and what is hidden inside terrifies them. Suddenly, a giant tentacle breaks through the ice and attacks them, leading the doctor's assistant to his death. Later, David's team arrives and is warned about something dangerous living inside the chamber they discovered. They enter and find animals frozen there for thousands of years. David, following the trail of the creature described by the doctor, decides to follow it, and they all dive into a large icy lake. Further down, they discover that the submerged location indicates that it was once inhabited by intelligent beings, as there are grand structures. The group splits up to look for something, and the doctor even sees frozen bodies. Suddenly, they are attacked by the tentacle monster, and David is thrown deeper into the lake. He sees sunken ships nearby and something intriguing, a trident broken in half, emitting a green glow. When David picks it up, he quickly rejoins the pieces, and a power surges, taking over his entire body. In his mind, a humanoid and frightening-looking creature speaks, saying that if David helps him escape his prison, he will help him achieve the revenge he seeks, and in the end, he will rule the entire planet. When David wakes up, he is already out of the lake, and for a moment he is frightened, but he soon calms down when he realizes that what he witnessed was real. Several months later, the news reports a sudden increase in global temperatures. Arthur sleeps with his son, but Mara wakes him up and tells him that the Atlantean Council has summoned him for an emergency meeting. Arthur questions them because the surface dwellers don't know they exist, so they won't care. Therefore, this is a good time for them to reveal themselves, and in a peaceful way, they can join forces with the people of the surface to improve the world. However, the council does not approve of such a decision, and if one day they were to reveal themselves to the surface people, it would be to judge them, not to join hands. Back at his home, Arthur talks to his father and remembers what his mentor Vulko used to say before he died, telling him that one of his purposes is to unite the two worlds peacefully. But so far, Arthur hasn't succeeded, but his father reassures him and gives him advice not to give up. Somewhere in the vast ocean, we see a large submarine, piloted by David, who has now become a stronger being, possessing a trident. After his contact with the artifact, he gained memories of places where Atlantean machinery is located. He dives with equipment resembling giant squids and heads for a place he knows exists. David opens the passage tunnel and arrives in a chamber, where he opens another large door. As they enter, a kind of giant squid that was camouflaged emerges and goes to warn of intruders. Meanwhile, David and his team extract a material stored in the chamber, when suddenly the large door closes, and he asks his team to start the extraction. The large submarine ends up arriving near the entrance to Atlantis and is located by the local people. The doctor activates the sonic battery, and while they are attacked, we see that the submarine has a green shield, and then the doctor shoots his weapon, leaving the soldiers of Atlantis stunned. This allows the mercenaries to enter the kingdom of Atlantis. The group led by David is located by Mara and Arthur's mother, Atlana. As Atlana was defeating one of the enemy carriers, the sonic battery is activated, leaving her vulnerable. Mara continues and pursues David. Using her powers, she creates a whirlpool in the water, causing David's capsule to crash into the rocks. As she tries to pull him out, he activates his armor and uses the laser against Mara. David grabs his trident to kill Mara, but Arthur arrives and throws him aside. However, he soon realizes who is there, and now he is much stronger than before. Fortunately, the Atlantean army approaches, and they need to retreat. Arthur sees one of the ships out of control and uses his trident to stop it. Meanwhile, the mercenaries are getting rid of the Atlantean soldiers. Aquaman pursues the submarine but is thrown away by the sonic blast. Moments later, he sees how Mara is doing and is relieved that she is alive. Later, he talks to his mother and King Nereus about the fact that their enemy is stronger and using ancient technology. Atlanna explains that they stole a material that emits radioactive energy, which harms the seas and increases the planet's temperature. That's why it was hidden and not used anymore. They observe that David stole the other deposits without being noticed, and now the enemy is using the material to harm the people. Arthur decides to seek help from someone they wouldn't want him to ask, his imprisoned brother. Atlanna explains that the arrest warrant was because he killed the king of an allied people, so if Arthur does that, it could mean war between the people of Atlantis. He insists and says that his help is essential, so they decide to help him without the council finding out. Aquaman wears a suit that makes him invisible, so he is not noticed by the prison security, which is located in an underground facility in the desert. He will have the support of a spy called Topo, a genetically modified squid to infiltrate and camouflage in any environment. Nereus warns Aquaman to be careful with the prison wardens, who are terrifying creatures and keep a prisoner there. They give him only the minimum to keep him alive, and they continue to punish him daily. The squid activates smoke inside the prisoner's cell, and they don't understand what's happening when suddenly the camouflaged Arthur enters and easily defeats the creatures. He reunites with ORM, his brother, who is very weakened. Arthur tells him that he came to get him in secret and that they need to get out of there as soon as possible. With Topo's help, they escape from the prison but need to escape from the prison guards. Aquaman activates his suit, becomes invisible, and quickly defeats his enemies, who were riding creatures similar to giant lizards. The two start their escape, climbing the prison walls. The lizards dig into the ground and soon take them to the desert's surface. Arthur tells ORM the direction of the nearest water, and he is soon grabbed by an enemy and dragged away. ORM manages to reach the sea before being captured again, and when he is bathed by the sea, he regains his strength and easily defeats his enemies. Next, we see Aquaman fighting one of the creatures, and fortunately, his brother appears to help. However, they must hurry to the sea as hundreds of enemies approach. While the two are returning to the kingdom of Atlantis, ORM questions the fact that for millennia, the wall of Atlantis has never been invaded, and Arthur became careless and let it happen. ORM also says that he no longer aspires to the throne, and when everything is over, he will surrender to the kingdom to be judged. Back on David's submarine, they go to his secret installation, where he is using the stolen material to harm the entire planet. Nearby, there is a place where terrifying noises and screams are heard. Dr. Stevens says that what is happening there will change the entire planet, and he thinks about stopping it but is afraid of David's judgment. Back to the brothers, they go to the last frontier of the kingdom of Atlantis, where ORM says it's like a pirate refuge. They are stopped by creatures living there and are quickly taken inside their kingdom. ORM points and shows King Voila, saying that he contacted the mercenary David. ORM approaches and asks about David's whereabouts, but King Voila says the information is not available. Arthur and ORM know this is not true, and Arthur says that if he gave a true location, he wouldn't come back and would destroy everything. The king doesn't care and orders them to be killed, but Aquaman decides to attack and quickly defeat those who confront him. Aquaman grabs an aquatic suit and places it on Voila's head, threatening to remove his water. The king, in response, provides the information, revealing that David's whereabouts are in the South Pacific region, in an area known as the Devil's Mouth. Afterward, the two escape from there. In David's hideout, he talks to the evil presence in his mind, when Stephen appears and notifies him of the furnace's operation. David closes the door, leaving the doctor pensive about what he got himself into. In the vicinity of the revealed location, Arthur and his brother arrive on an island with a large volcano emitting green smoke. The group reaches the beach, and Arthur instructs Topo to return to Atlantis and inform them about the place and its location. The two enter the forest and reach a high point, admiring the beautiful landscape and discover that the plants are undergoing transformations, and as they walk further, they find that all the animals there have also mutated. The two are pursued by giant grasshoppers and narrowly escape being devoured by carnivorous plants. They run and reach a large cliff with no way to cross to the other side. There's a monument supporting a statue, and the inscription says that a true king builds bridges. Arthur then collides with the monument and makes the statue fall, creating a bridge for them to cross. After crossing, the two use their strength to push the statue off the cliff, getting rid of the grasshoppers. Meanwhile, the doctor goes to talk to David but doesn't find him in his quarters. However, Stephen finds the trident, and when he puts the pieces together, he has a vision of what is about to happen, that a new king will emerge. Stephen becomes frightened. Suddenly, David appears and confronts the doctor, saying that he will have the revenge he seeks and will destroy Aquaman's world. David confesses that he made an alliance with an unknown evil entity possessing the power of the trident and warns the doctor not to interfere with his plan, or he will kill him. The brothers are sneaking through a dark forest and heading into David's facilities, taking down the guards without being noticed. Aquaman and ORM enter the control room and take control. They see what's happening in the furnace burning the radioactive material when Dr. Stephen arrives armed and locks the door. Fortunately, he doesn't want to fight, lowers his weapon, and explains that he didn't want to be part of all this but was forced. He just wanted to learn about Atlantis and the wonders that exist in the unknown world. The brothers believe the doctor but want information. When Stephen is about to tell them about the power of the trident and the evil that controls David, an explosion surprises them and throws them out of the control room. The mercenaries start chasing the two with weaponry designed to severely harm an Atlantean. The brothers narrowly escape gunfire and defeat the enemies, who have technological suits. Things worsen when the mercenaries use the submersible capsules against the brothers. ORM is attacked and easily defeated since he's not in his best fighting environment. When he's about to be finished, fortunately, Aquaman appears and stops the mechanical tentacle. Using his strength, Aquaman counterattacks while ORM uses an anchor to pierce the tentacles of the capsule, causing it to fall. They don't celebrate much as David appears without courtesy. The two notice that David comes with his armor, a helmet that shoots heat rays, and the trident separated. A fight begins, with Arthur attacking his enemy, but David shows that he's stronger and more agile, managing to handle both brothers. He almost kills ORM by impaling him with the trident. However, when ORM grabs the trident, he senses the presence of a powerful evil and an unknown realm. Taking advantage of the distraction, David fires his heat ray and leaves him injured on the ground. He was about to kill him when the island trembles. We soon discover it's King Nereus and his army, who have come to help Arthur destroy the enemy. Without wasting time, he orders to open fire on the volcano, where the weapon is located. Arthur rises and uses the rocket from one of the suits to launch David into the depths of the lake. Arthur throws him against the rocks, damaging the suit, but thinking quickly, David uses a harpoon and attaches himself to the departing submarine since the volcano will be destroyed. Arthur continues to pursue his enemy, but the mercenaries activate the sonic cannon and push him to the bottom, where a large rock falls on him, leaving him trapped. Fortunately, only for a moment, as the powerful Mara, his wife, arrives and controls the water around him, helping him get out. After the battle, the Atlanteans who support Arthur's action gather near the almost completely destroyed island. ORM tells them about the vision he had when touching the trident, where he saw the lost kingdom. Atlanta tells them that millennia ago, there were rumors of a kingdom before the fall of Atlantis, but nothing was ever found in the records. Nereus asks how he can claim the existence of such a kingdom, and ORM mentions the name of the lost kingdom, Necrus. ORM also reveals that when he touched the trident, it was as if he were in someone else's mind, helping him understand the story. He recounts that during the reign of the kingdom of Atlan, there were 7 united kingdoms, but one of them discovered and used the green energy greedily, corrupting their hearts, including King Kordax of Necrus, Atlan's brother. King Atlan pleaded with Kordax to stop using the green energy before it destroyed the world. However, Kordax remained insensitive, thinking his brother wanted to seize control of the energy and become even more powerful. Fearing this, Kordax used dark magic and the green energy to forge a powerful trident for himself. Losing control of his actions, Kordax used his power to transform everyone in his kingdom into hideous creatures, including himself. Now consumed by greed for more power, he decided to confront Atlan and his kingdom but was fortunately defeated. King Atlan imprisoned him using a sealing spell with his own blood, and the entire kingdom of Necrus and the transformed people were frozen and forgotten in history. Unfortunately, David found this kingdom and is using the green energy to heat the entire planet and thereby release Kordax. The group later studies David's plan and discovers that only the blood of Atlan or one of his descendants can release King Kordax. ORM is reassured because he knows that only those present have royal blood, but then Arthur remembers his son, Arthur Jr., who is defenseless with his father. Tom watches the news on TV when the lights in his house go out. When Tom goes to get a flashlight, he realizes too late that the enemy is there. Black Manta injures him but leaves him alive so that Arthur can feel the beginning of unbearable pain. When Arthur arrives at his beach house, he notices the destruction caused by his enemy. He finds his father alive, but unfortunately, his son has been taken, leaving the whole family in screams of despair. In David's submarine, we see him looking at Arthur's son, and with green eyes, he doesn't allow the doctor to observe him. The doctor thinks of something and sends a signal on his computer so that Arthur can find them. Nereus informs Arthur about the signal and says he's heading to Antarctica. Before Arthur and ORM leave, their mother Atlana asks them to protect themselves and bring her grandson safely out of danger. Meanwhile, she takes care of Tom with Atlantean technology. Moments later, the group is in one of Nereus's technologically advanced submarines and discusses how to counter David's sonic weapon. Arthur suggests using the same weapon but at an even higher frequency. To avoid attracting the attention of the Atlantean Council, the group sets out in a small number. Meanwhile, David arrives with the submarine near the Frozen Kingdom. He tells the doctor that even with the destruction of the furnace, one missile is enough to destroy the remaining ice layer and continue with the plan. David proceeds in a flying capsule, and the doctor, under orders from his master, takes another, carrying the baby with him. When the submarine sees Aquaman, they prepare the sonic cannon, but they didn't expect Arthur's action as he summons hundreds of whales and marine animals. They surround the submarine and begin emitting a sound frequency against it. This action causes the sonic battery to overload, and as a consequence, it is destroyed. Black Manta, along with the doctor, arrives at the lost kingdom of Necrus, and Stephen is impressed by the sight of that place. Arthur's team also arrives and remains on alert, knowing that the people of Necrus have become monsters and are approaching. Humanoid creatures and giant monsters attack them, but they defend themselves and counterattack, destroying them. Arthur needs to save the baby prince, while the others stay to face the thousands of transformed beings. Black Manta enters the great temple of Kordax and sees him imprisoned in his own throne. The group scales the support towers of the Necrus bridge when King Nereus is grabbed by the legs by one of the tentacled monsters with a mouth full of sharp teeth. ORM sees him but disappears from his sight. While struggling to hold on and avoid being swallowed by the creature and devoured. Inside the temple, Black Manta hands over Arthur's son to the doctor, but upon opening the bag, he discovers that he has been betrayed, and there's a bomb inside. David throws it before it explodes with him. Stephen tries to change the situation and take the child away, but David finds him and electrocutes him. Meanwhile, on the Great Bridge, Necrus' army approaches in the thousands. Arthur, Mara, and their allies try to defeat the enemies. With many monsters, Arthur and the others manage to enter the temple and close the gate, temporarily getting rid of the thousands of creatures. Arthur's baby is about to be harmed, but he manages to use his power to send a signal to his father. Receiving the signal from his son, Aquaman quickly discovers where he is and arrives to strike Black Manta with the trident. He then faces him and fights with their weapons. Aquaman takes his trident and fights his enemy, excelling in combat. Aquaman manages to separate the parts of the enemy's trident, but he is pushed against the temple walls and thrown to the ground with great force. Black Manta takes his trident and prepares to stab Aquaman, but Mara arrives and shoots a water blast at the enemy. She takes her son and flees. David shoots the trident at her, but ORM manages to hold it. However, the enemy's power tries to influence him to serve it in exchange for more power. Kordax releases David and transfers his power to ORM, who now has a more powerful body than that of a human. David tries to attack Aquaman but discovers that he is weak again. ORM, dominated, attacks his brother Arthur and throws him onto the ceiling altar, punching him, and the blood splatters enough to initiate Kordax's release. Aquaman thinks of something and holds the trident that is with his brother, gaining access to the enemy's power. He talks to his brother, urging him to fight and not let greed for power dominate him. Meanwhile, Kordax tries to influence him not to release the trident, as he is the true king. Arthur says that no matter their positions, ORM will always be loved by him, and he will never stop being his brother. ORM regains consciousness and releases the trident, but the evil is already free. Aquaman throws the trident at the enemy, but Kordax quickly catches it, now having his weapon in his hands again. ORM sees Atlan's trident nearby and hands it over. Quickly, Aquaman throws it at Kordax, hitting the tip of the enemy's trident, destroying it, and then striking Kordax. A large explosion of green energy is expelled from the now destroyed Kordax. The temple begins to crumble, and David holds on to avoid falling into the abyss. Aquaman appears and, showing mercy, extends his hand to his enemy. However, driven by pride, David refuses the help and jumps into the abyss, falling to his doom. As they leave the temple, they notice that the people of Necros are all dropping dead. ORM sees a trident on the way and takes it for himself, and then both brothers jump into the sea, and the entire kingdom of Necros completely disappears. Aquaman reunites with his family, and together with Mera, they enjoy the joy of having their son back. ORM hands over the war trident to King Nereus, accepting that he is just an Atlantean. Arthur and Mera also thank the doctor for his help. Arthur then talks to his brother, saying that the debt with him is paid, but unfortunately not with the other kingdoms. However, for him, ORM died in battle and sank with the Lost Kingdom. Just a story for them to tell others and allow ORM to be free and start anew. After thanking them, they say their goodbyes, and ORM jumps into the sea towards an unknown destination. Days later, the news reports that a major revelation is about to be announced. It is then revealed that the Atlantean Council has approved Arthur's proposal to show that Atlantis is real, a powerful kingdom, and above all, peaceful, and now seeks to ally with humanity. Arthur delivers a presentation speech to the world, revealing who they are and that he is the king of the underwater world. Meanwhile, his brother begins a journey to enjoy life with humans, eating a nice sandwich.